I'm looking for motorcycle tires for my old Sportster, my '89 Sportster, which it's got a windshield on it and some really big bags. It's almost like a little mini bagger. And it's not because I did that for style. I did that because I kind of used the thing, you know. But right now I got some Avon Roadrunners on there, and they've been on there about 6 years. So, I'll probably be changing them. But I was looking for tires. So check this out. The title of the video is going to be "No Euro and USA Tires Left for the Motorcycle Market." Now, um, Dunlops. I didn't really care for Dunlops that much. I think they're kind of overpriced. You can get an Elite. You're better off going something else. I used to always run Continental Blitz. They used to call them the Blitz. Now they call them the Attack. But it's almost impossible to find the rear tire for this thing. It's 130/90, or you can use a 140. It'll fit in there too because I got a chain. I don't have a belt. But it's only like 2/10 of an inch higher. So I mean, that's nothing. It gives you like 100 pounds more load rating. So right now I got the Avons on here. The reason I bought the Avons last time because I couldn't find the Contis anymore, and I ran Kendas for a while. I didn't like them, but the Avons were made in the UK. So the Avons now, they closed the factory down in the UK after 112 years of being open, right? So that's one that went down. Now it's supposed to be made in France or Serbia, maybe, but I still can't find the rear tire in a 130 or 140 anywhere for this bike. And the Contis, I can't find the 130 or 140 rear tire for that because that's made in Germany still, the Continentals, right? And I would prefer getting the Attack or maybe even the Tour. They got a Conti Go, but I don't like that one as much. But I can't find any of them in this rear tire. Unless you go to get it from like Italy or something. You go all the way over to Italy, it's a made in Germany tire. You're paying like over twice as much for one rear tire than you can for a pair of good tires. So Dunlop used to be the standby made in USA, and what happened was Dunlop, they just got bought out by some Japanese company, and Dunlop closed its doors. The big factory they had in upstate New York, 1,500 employees, some USA employees. Dunlop was made in USA. They closed its doors last year. It's gone. So Dunlop is sold out to the Japanese. Now, as far as Metzler, that's a German company that's been around since 1871. The same year the empire was formed. Now, Metzler got bought out by Pirelli. You're only thinking, well, Pirelli's an Italian company. Okay, cool, right? Nope. Pirelli got bought out by a Chinese company, right? So now, more and more Metzler tires are being built and made in China, right? Not all of them, but some are in Brazil. None of them are being made in Europe, as far as I know. None of them. And, of course, not in the United States. Same with Pirelli, same kind of garbage. So it's all these big corporate CEOs are going for the cheap Asian labor. And, I think the quality sometimes suffers. Because I seen things on, people saying that if you got a Metzler, depending on where it made, it could be good. Or, it doesn't mean it's always going to be bad coming out of another country. But the European brands were usually higher quality for a reason because the workmanship was better. Now, like I said, I got the Avons before. Avon, they closed its doors, the UK factory, after 112 years, but it's going to be moved over to France and Serbia. But I can't find the rear size for the tire. Now, Michelin, that's supposed to be like European, but the problem with them, they're mainly going over to Thailand. So what's left? Pretty much nothing. I mean, nothing else, nothing that's Euro or American. I mean, you got, IRC, Bridgestone, and stuff. So what's left is Shinko, which is, and it was kind of like, I don't think I want to get these, but I'm probably going to wind up getting them. They got the Shinko 777s, they got the reinforced one for the front and a reinforced one for the rear. I'm going to go one up on the rear reinforced with the 140/90 versus the 130. And I'm probably going to get them. They're not much money. I heard a lot of good things about them. They're actually Yokohama tires, but it's like you're really boxed in. Like the two brands that I can get are European, is Continental and Avon. But neither one of those, I can't find the tire size I need in the rear. Every place says out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. And the only place I could find in stock like that, if you go on eBay, they got some crazy price, like almost $400 for one tire, and it's coming from, you know, Italy or something. You got to pay shipping on it, and you don't even know if it's going to be date coded good too. On top of that, and if you got a problem, you're screwed, right? So I'm probably going to go with the Shinkos, but this is where we're going with the globalization stuff. You know, it's like, you know, all the talk about, you know, they're stopping this and they're stopping that. Like Harley-Davidson is broke right now, I heard, you know. They got, you know, and I could see why, because um, they play to the yuppie crowd, and you know, this was going on a long time. This was going on with Harley-Davidson, the what do you call those things again? The rubs, whatever, you know, rich urban bikers, whatever the hell you call those things. They were coming on the scene in the 80s, in the late 80s. Not maybe in the early 80s, but in the late 80s, they were already coming on the scene. And by the 90s, they were really, it was all over the place. Like they, you know, the average dealership was more a leather and t-shirt company than anything. It was like, they didn't even have, like, you know, at least back before the internet, they had so much, they didn't keep that many real parts on hand. They had a lot of bolt-on accessories and stuff. It was like that even in the 90s. It was even, in other words, you know, back in the early 80s and before that, there was, if you had custom, that meant you got your cutoff wheel and your grinder and your bending tools and your acetylene torch, and you made something custom and had it chromed. You did not, or you whatever, you painted it or something, or didn't have powder coat back then, whatever. But you know what I mean. You did not buy something custom. Custom doesn't. There's no such thing as a off-the-shelf custom. Custom means you fabricated it yourself. So, you know, when you have a custom bike, that meant it wasn't bolted on. Like this, some people would say, you know, this bike is basically looks stock. It's kind of like the engine's not that stock or nothing, but it's, you know, if you bolt something on a bike, that doesn't make it custom. That was the definition before. And nobody would put bags like this on bikes, even especially a Sportster. But I used the thing for transportation, you know, obviously. So not just riding around for fun and stuff. But yeah, it's like if people were, well, I could tell you, you know, I noticed, I shouldn't say this because Florida's like, well, whatever they're gonna say. But when I was in California, you know, I didn't realize this. I was just bought Conti Blitz tires. I just liked, they were made in Germany. I like the name Blitz, and you know, they don't call them Blitz anymore. I guess they're being PC, but they're, you know, they call them attack, you know, attack tires, right? But I didn't realize it. You know, all the HA guys were riding with Blitzes too, because they liked them, you know. So, you know, so that's my mindset, USA or something. But I figure I'm probably going to get the Shinkos, and I'll probably get some spare parts from USA manufacturer like Andrews, and get a spare Andrews transmission main shaft for this thing, just in case I need one, because that one, the teeth on mine are starting to go in one area where the sprocket is, and it's not going to break right away. But I'll probably pick that up for the extra $200 I don't spend on the tires. I'll pick up something like made in USA. But if you are always, it's these rubs that are very price conscious, that and also the people that are super wealthy, they drove up the prices on all this stuff, and it turned into, you know, a rich man's bike. And I should add on to here, well, I'm going to probably put a separate video, but you know what they should have made? This Sportster engine actually designed, it's really the classic Evo Sportster engine. That's just a 4-speed chain drive, but say the 5-speed, if they had this same design engine, and they made it like a 1450, like an 88 cubic inch instead of like a 1200. And because, you know, it's a cool size, it's a cool cubic, that's a cool CC, you know, 1450, 88. And They put that in a larger frame motorcycle, not a really big heavy bagger, but like a Dynaframe type bike. That would be the ultimate bike because you don't have to worry about, the cam geometry with this because you got 4 separate cams in there. You don't have to worry about the lifters going out and stuff. And it's a very solid, proven design, this sports design. It's just that, you'd have to make the cases bigger and everything else to get more cubic inches out of it. So, why not do that? I mean, that would be the ultimate bike, but then it would be infinitely rebuildable with the press cranks if you do the press cranks. And guess what? But that's why people like Harleys, right? They're infinitely rebuildable. Like this bike is infinitely rebuildable because it's not a bunch, it's a carburetor. And I even got the points plates in my bags right here. If I want to just, I can disconnect the wire down there in the bottom real quick. It's just got a speed nut on it with some adhesive in there to keep the corrosion out. I could put the points in here, and I got a coil that runs points and electronic. If my electronic whiz box went out, I don't have any computer on here. I got a uniter with a VO switch, vacuum operated electric switch. Very simple, but nothing's like totally simple. Relatively simple, but it's a matter of we got to get back to forcing these guys to, if you buy USA, and the hell with them. But right now, with tires, forget about it, man. You can't even buy European. Forget about USA. They're sold out. Like, in other words, that plant in New York that was Dunlop, and I'm not particularly that fond of Dunlop anyway, but I was always buying something that was European anyway. And Dunlop, they said the equipment was getting more outdated. Well, you know what it is? These CEOs are grabbing like tens and tens of millions of dollars, and they don't put it back into the company. They grab it and they just run with it, and then they sell it out. Then they sell the name and they just leave and they're done. That's why everything's going to crap. It's like we don't have people like when these are the early guys here, these Harley-Davidson, those two fellows, they were riding these bikes. They were the guys that made the bike. That's the difference. Do you see that kind of stuff going on anymore today? Not much. Not much at all, right? There lies your problem. So anyway, this is just a thing, an update. I just forgot to put this out because I was looking really hard trying to find some kind of tires because I hate it. I hate getting Japanese tires or Asian tires and even though they could be okay. Metzler is starting to go to China. Michelin's going to Thailand. Avon is still European, but I'm having a hard time finding the tires size I need. Continental, you look at almost all the big manufacturing sites out here, they don't even sell that many Contis. Like Contis are like, you can get it for like a touring bike sizes, but I can't find them in the size I need. And then, Dunlop sold out. Dunlop was the only USA one, which is, that's like, again, Avon too. I don't even know what's going on in Avon. It's supposed to be made in Europe, but who the hell knows what's going to happen? It's supposed to be made in France and Serbia, but who knows, man? Who knows? It's like, but I can tell you what the problem is. It's simple. They're quick to grab the money and run. That's all they're about. That's kind of what ruined this platform too, man. They're kowtowing down all these people. There's no more YouTube anymore. You know what I mean? That's why I don't put out as much stuff as I used to.